Yes, good afternoon, and my name is Cindy Terwilliger. I'm the Regional Administrator for the FTA Region 8 office in Denver, Colorado. Our office, we're one of 10 regional offices across the United States for the Federal Transit Administration, which is an agency within the U.S. Department of Transportation, and we provide funding for public transportation services directly to urban transit operators like Cache Valley and UTA here and in Utah, and then working with Elena and Ivan at the state DOT and all the great people there at Utah DOT. We work with them for the provision of rural transportation services and administering all the funding for those programs. So I want to thank my friends at UDOT for all the work that you do to support rural public transportation services across the state. I also want to introduce two of my colleagues that are here today. Tiffany Gallegos, she's the Director of Operations and Program Management, and Peter Hadley, he's a community planner in our office. So they both work with many of you here in this room, and we do have many other staff who support rural and urban public transportation services in the state of Utah, but unfortunately not everyone could be here today. But I'm glad to be here, and it's really exciting to be here in Kanab. I've never been to Kanab before, and it's just a beautiful little town. So today I'd like to discuss partnerships. And partnership is just so important in everything that we do. And I know that partnership has always been a key, sort of a key focus of how people in the state of Utah work, and how people work here within your organization at URSTA. And so that partnership approach, together at the federal level, providing funding and technical assistance, and then with UDOT and the state DOT, at the state DOT level and the local levels with all of you, we're able to provide transit service that people can rely upon, and really improving the lives of residents of the state, here in the state of Utah. FTA's National Transit Database reports that 82% of U.S. counties provide some level of rural transit service. And while that may sound like a pretty good number, it also means that 18% of all counties, almost 1 in 5, do not provide rural transit service. And that's an important statistic because 1.6 million residents in rural areas do not have cars. A larger proportion of rural counties are characterized by a high rate of zero-car households, almost double the average rate of carlessness in urban counties. And so we all know that public transportation is important. That's why we're here today. But in rural areas, it's often the difference between access to opportunities and isolation. The University of Minnesota research found that 1/3 of rural health offices reported that the lack of transit is the biggest barrier for older adults staying in their homes. So at FTA, we understand that providing frequent, reliable, affordable public transportation is challenging. And I know that many of you in this room are aware of those hurdles and how on-demand transit systems may offer limited schedules, or how fixed route service may operate indirect routes and less frequently, making bus trips inconvenient and time-consuming. So we're all here to improve public transportation. That's the goal of FTA, that's our mission. And so part of what we do is we provide resources and technical assistance to help. And we're also laser focused on promoting equity for all who ride. Right now, FTA has an initiative called the Justice 40 program. And the Justice 40 program is really about supporting everyone who wishes to ride transit, that they have an equal opportunity to do so. It represents this administration's commitment to ensure that at least 40% of the benefits from grants, programs, and initiatives flow to disadvantaged communities across the country, whether you're rural, suburban, or urban, all of the country. So to accomplish this, we've added these Justice 40 equity requirements into our competitive grant notices, and we've also incorporated the principles throughout our programs and just initiatives across FTA and across the U.S. Department of Transportation. So thanks to the infrastructure law, which we're operating under right now, FTA is making the greatest investment in public transportation in our nation's history, and that includes rural and tribal communities. And we intend to enhance public transportation in every corner of the country. And in fact, last year, 34% of FTA's competitive grant funding went to small urban and rural communities. This year, we provided over $1.2 billion in formula funding for rural areas, and this is 20% more federal support than just 2 years ago. So we really hope that this increase in funding would help transit agencies deliver more service and buy more buses and keep their fleets in a state of good repair. But as we know, we've had a lot of challenges coming out of the pandemic with supply chain issues, which my friends at CTAA, I know are going to be talking about supply chain, just general increases in costs of providing goods and services. But we really do hope that this funding this 20% increase in funding is helping somewhere and to help you deliver the services that you need. We also just recently announced low and no emission bus and bus facility grants. This is a discretionary grant program that FTA administers every year. So of this past year, over $158 million went to rural projects, rural providers, and rural projects. And in fact, Park City Transit received some funding to replace inaccessible bus stops in their community. Is there someone from Park City here today? There you are. Hey, congratulations. And our tribal competitive program has also increased 31%, with formula funding now totaling close to $40 million annually. And we're also undertaking a review of our tribal transportation programs, and we're looking at redoing the structure of those programs in consultation with all the tribal governments across the United States. So that work is ongoing right now. We also just recently finished receiving the applications for $8.9 million in competitive grants to tribal transit providers, and we hope to make those announcements soon. So it's really great to see our federal dollars at work, but again, we couldn't do it without all of you, whether you're in a small urban like Cache Valley, whether working with our friends at UDOT and the administration of the Rural Public Transportation Program, or UTA, it takes all of you to deliver all these federal dollars in a way that's going to result in more service on the street and better mobility for all the people here in the state. So I want to talk just a little bit about FTA's technical assistance programs. Right outside this door, one of our technical assistance centers is called the National Rural Transit Assistance Program, or National RTAP for short. I'm sure most of you are familiar with that program. They have so many great resources, and a lot of those great resources are out at the table. We also fund a number of other technical assistance centers. There's the National Aging and Disability Technical Assistance Center. There's the NCAT Center that CTAA runs on FTA's behalf, and so on and so forth. So we just have a lot of really great technical assistance resources to help you deliver your programs. And if you have any questions about those, myself, Tiffany, and Peter can answer any questions or help you find those resources to manage your program. So I also wanted to just talk a little bit about innovation, and especially innovation in the rural public transportation space. We're trying to encourage innovation and ways to help more people get to transit services. And so one program that I was thinking of here in this state is High Valley Transit's microtransit service. And I know I saw Carolyn, there she is. Hey Carolyn. She could tell you all about microtransit, right Carolyn?
Oh yeah.
Okay. She's your statewide expert right now. But so there's just a lot of innovation happening in the transit industry right now. And we're really trying to encourage that through our technical assistance centers. I also wanted to talk about coordination and the coordination with social service agencies, both across at the state level and in the county level, to improve transportation coordination. And I know here in the state of Utah you have really solid relationships with human service transportation providers, human service organizations in the state, with independent living centers, with senior centers. And I just want to encourage you to keep those partnerships up and really work on developing them. Because again, like I said, it's really all about how can we get service out to people? How can someone say, we often hear someone say, well, I don't have any way to get there. Wouldn't it be a great world if we never heard anyone say, I didn't have the transportation resources to go wherever I needed to go. So we just always want to encourage those partnerships, particularly on the human service side. And we also have some resources available in that area through FTA, the Coordinating Council on Access and Mobility, also known as CCAM. And last year we adopted a new strategic plan which operates through 2026. And so CCAM is an organization, a partnership organization that's made up of different federal agencies that all provide funding for transportation services. So we're trying to do a lot of work at the federal level to improve coordination, and we appreciate what you do at the local level to really establish those partnerships. So now I'd like to just discuss safety briefly just for a moment. Safety is our North Star at the U.S. Department of Transportation and the Federal Transit Administration. It's the basis of everything that we do. And I want to talk a little bit about road deaths. And so 43% of road deaths occur in rural areas. And that's almost equal to those in dense cities. That's a really startling statistic. And so reducing the number of cars on the road, we all know would lessens collisions, deaths, and serious injuries in communities. But I want to bring this statistic to your attention because it takes everyone, when it comes to safety, it takes everyone to really work on this issue. And it's really an issue that we need to really keep focusing on across the United States because of the increase in deaths, collisions, and the injuries that are resulting from it, not only from cars, but to bicycles, bicyclists, and pedestrians. So I just wanted to commend the work that was led by the Wasatch Front Regional Council in Salt Lake City. They're working in conjunction with the MPOs, including MAG, CASH, and St. George, and the Utah Department of Transportation to develop multimodal safety action plans. And this work was funded under a US DOT grant called Safe Streets for All. And so once they complete these safety plans, each MPO can then apply for funding to fix the high priority safety issues in their communities. So, we'd encourage all of you, particularly in small urban areas, and then also rural areas, to work with the states, work with those MPOs in giving your input on those safety action plans, because we really want to make sure that we can really try to get at this issue of safety and reduce the number of injuries, deaths, and fatalities that are happening across the country. So before I close, I just want to remind you all about some US DOT programs you can also tap into to seek federal funding and assistance. Recently, the Office of the Secretary announced it's making $10 million available in the program called the Rural and Tribal Assistance Program. And this program provides no-match grant funds for early stage development for rural and tribal infrastructure projects. We also have a loan program called the Transportation Infrastructure Innovation and Finance and Innovation Act, or TIFIA, which provides long-term and low-cost financial assistance for rural projects. And we have a lot of examples of that across the country. And then we've also recently launched a Project Delivery Center of Excellence to help recipients of federal infrastructure funds deliver projects more efficiently from concept to completion. And this center will serve as a central resource for innovative practices and will bring project managers together to enable knowledge sharing and peer-to-peer learning. And then I think most importantly, we also have some really great resources through a program called ROUTES, which is Rural Opportunities to Use Transportation for Economic Success, or ROUTES initiative. And all these really great resources are online at the U.S. Department of Transportation's website, and you can sign up for email, or you can sign up for information to be sent directly to your email box so you can stay on top of everything. There's a lot of opportunities under the bipartisan infrastructure law. There's so many funding programs, and there's so much funding right now, and we want to help you access all that funding so you can help provide more and better service to people in your communities, build infrastructure projects that will support your services, and ultimately the people who you serve, the transit riders. So we're here to help, and so please see Tiffany, Peter, and I, and we can help you navigate all the U.S. Department of Transportation and the Federal Transit Administration. But in closing, I just want to thank you all for the services that you provide and everything that you do in your local communities. I know it's been a really past tough number of years for public transit, but what you do is so vitally important. You are the link. To keep people out of isolation and to get people where they need to go. And so I just want to really just thank you for what you do, because I know it's not always easy to deliver transit service. There's a lot of challenges, but thank you for what you do. Keep the faith, and let's keep on improving public transportation for everyone here in this state. Thank you so much.